Kate here to do a video on my go-to mystery series. So on my recent video of the 13 mystery series I would like to try out, Katie over at Life Between Words commented and asked me if I had a video on my go-to / favorite mystery series. And so Katie, you have inspired me to make a video about it. And I just really want to talk to you guys about these. And I also thought, after, I have tried out all of the mystery series I want to try from those videos I do, it would be fun to see if there are any new additions. So I will tell you about the ones that are so far my go-to, and a couple of these I found from the mystery series I wanted to try videos I did. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 go-to series I have. So the first is my very favorite mystery author, and you have heard me say her name so many times. I never stop talking about her because I'm still slowly going through her Wexford series, savoring it very slowly. And the first in the series is From Dune with Death by Ruth Rendell. So her detective is Inspector Wexford. Inspector Wexford is very straightforward and is able to stay calm, cool, and collected most of the time while solving cases, and works really well with his assistant, Inspector Burden. And what I appreciate about these mysteries is that they feel very literary. Her writing is excellent and just so... I just absolutely love it. She was a big social activist, so she deals with a lot of tough issues, and you can definitely see her feminism coming through, and I think like a really good kind of feminism. And so I really enjoy these, and so lots of important, hard social topics are dealt with in these. And I also appreciate about them the growth that you see in the characters, and with Inspector Burden and Inspector Wexford, you see their families and how their families change throughout the years, and you get to know the the children and the spouses of them really well. So this is my favorite detective series of all time, and I'm really sad that I'm getting to the end of the Inspector Wexford books. The next is P.D. James, Inspector Dalgliesh series, and this is one that isn't all that sequential, so I'm just kind of picking and choosing where I want to go to. This was first recommended to me by my dad, and P.D. James is kind of held up there in the same category as Ruth Rendell, and kind of the two queens of the maybe the 90s, early 2000s British crime writers. And she also feels incredibly literary with hers, and one thing that I really like about her writing is that she is a Catholic, and so her Christianity you can see coming through in some of her writing, and so for me as a Christian I really appreciate that. And I have read Death and Holy Orders, which will probably be one of my favorite books from the year 2016, and then just recently I read, I just forgot the title, A Certain Justice with Sarai over at Sarai Talks Books. And so she also tackles some really interesting topics in her books, and in A Certain Justice she really dealt with the justice system and the whole concept of innocent until proven guilty, and it was really interesting, some just different little issues with that I wouldn't have thought of before, and the kind of the pros and cons of that whole concept within the law. So yes, just a great series that is deals with hard topics, and I just really appreciate her writing. She's just she can make a sentence do exactly what she wants it to do, and she picks out each word that's going to go in her sentences. So I'm definitely going to continue with her Inspector Dalgliesh series, and I have really enjoyed the two that I have read. And I already have plans with Sarai to read The Murder Room later this summer. So really enjoying that. And I'm just kind of going, my dad has read all of the Dalgliesh, and so he's telling me which one I should read next, so I'm just letting him pick the next ones that I'll read from her. Next is the Alan Grant Mysteries by Josephine, and I also read one that was in the middle of the series, but Liz over at Now Voyaging personally recommended this specific one to me, so I just took her recommendation, and that is The Daughter of Time, and the Alan Grant series, like I said. And this is basically the Rear Window of detective mysteries, where he is stuck in a hospital bed. He's ill, and he ends up solving a mystery. Of course, there is some debate about what actually happened. But anyhow, it was just really interesting, and the writing, I'd say, was on the Ruth Rendell, P.D. James level to me, which is just like the highest you can go in mystery writing. And so I really enjoyed it, and I am just really looking forward to those, those really literary feeling mysteries. I like to have some variety in my mystery reading, but when I want that feeling, it's really great to know that I have those to go to. So that's the next in my favorite list. And then next, going the much more cozy route, and that is the Amelia Peabody Mysteries by Elizabeth Peters. I read the first one with Kate over at the Novel Nomad, then reread the second one, and now we are just finishing up the third one. So I am definitely enjoying these. These are Victorian mysteries that star Amelia Peabody. And Amelia Peabody is a very, she reminds me of Jo from Little Women. That's her type of personality, and I just love it. And she and Emerson are just such a dynamic duo, and they have such a, I just think, like a great relationship. They really push each other and want each other to grow and challenge each other, and they're not afraid to tell the other one when they're being ridiculous. So I just really like to see that kind of marriage where you can see that they kind of drive each other crazy sometimes, and because I think that's really realistic, and so I just really enjoy that about this series. And also the Egypt setting is really fun, and their son Ramses has such a personality, and to an extent kind of reminds me of my son, just how he can be kind of a little wild man. So I'm really enjoying this series and definitely going to continue on with it. The next is the Armand Gamache series by Louise Penny, and these just have such a piece of my heart. She captures like my heart whenever she writes these, and the thing that I really appreciate about these is Louise Penny, you can tell, is just so cultured and knows so much about history and the arts and just different things. Like there's things about ley lines and like Wiccans and witchcraft in some of hers, and so just such a whole far branching range of topics. And she talks about, like I said, she talks about art a lot, and so I always come out of her books feeling like I've learned something and just things I wouldn't have found out about any other way. Her writing does feel very literary also, and I like that it's set in Quebec, which is the French-Canadian setting I didn't know much about before this, and I really enjoy that. And she has also just, you really, really get to know the characters, and some things you wouldn't want to know about them. You just get to know their soul, and you really get to know the whys of why someone would take someone else's life. And so I really like the sleepy town of Three Pines. I just really enjoy Inspector Gamache and getting to know his wife Raina Marie and the other residents of the village, Peter and Clara Morrow. And there's a little bookshop, there's a little bed and breakfast with a cafe below it, there is a art studio. So it's just a really, really fun setting. It's the cozy setting, but then hard-boiled writing and mystery. So it's a neat combination. And the penultimate series that I have added is the Flavia Toulouse. This is the sweetness at the bottom of the pie. It was the first in the series. Flavia Toulouse is a 12-year-old girl, and she ends up solving mysteries. There is someone who is found dead in her backyard, and so she takes it upon herself to solve the mystery, riding around on her bicycle, who she has named Gladys. And this says it takes place in 1950, so that's a really fun era, and it's also fun to hear about the local history and politics of the day. And I know I've even heard someone say that it bugged them, but I'm such an Anglophile that I love it. So if you are an Anglophile, I think you should definitely try out this series. And I have bought the next several in the series, and I'm just really looking forward to getting to them. And they're just funny, and they're a great cozy. So if you like a child narrator, then I think you'll like this, and I really enjoy the audiobooks as well. So the Flavia Toulouse series. The one issue I might have with them is I feel like she's really distant and aloof from other people, which is the same issue that I have with Sherlock Holmes, but I've only read this first one, so I'll be interested to see if her relationships kind of take on a deeper meaning in the upcoming books. So I will report back to you what I think about those. And then lastly, of my favorite mystery series is the Inspector Lynley Mysteries by Elizabeth George. These are right up there for me, honestly, with Ruth Rendell and P.D. James. This writing is just can't be beaten. It's amazing, and she just really knows what she wants to say. I'd say these, I think, the most intensely get to know a person and get to know their motives for murdering someone, and just in a way that no other authors I've seen do. And so deals with, you know, really gruesome topics, so I have to be definitely in the right mood for them. But the thing I think that makes me like these the most is, like I said, it just really deals with motives, but also you really get to know Inspector Lynley and then his assistant, Sergeant Barbara Havers, and I think that's what I really appreciate about these, is I really feel like I'm getting that human analysis and even connection, because Havers and Lynley have this really growing, budding relationship, and so I really appreciate that about them. So this is just an excellent series that I think all mystery lovers should try. I hope you guys enjoy hearing about my go-to series. I am looking forward to hopefully updating that with some new ones I've added after I try out those new mystery series in the video I just put out. So I hope you guys are having a lovely day, and I will see you for another video soon.